Palesa Rogers never expected helping a struggling child at an exclusive Seoul fundraiser to drag her into the deadly world of Kang Woo-sok, the silver-haired Korean mafia boss whose name alone made politicians sweat and rivals disappear. At a glittering charity gala sparkling with South Korea's elite, she saw what everyone else ignored: a teenage girl trembling in the garden, hands pressed against her ears as classical music thundered from inside. The girl's father, Kang Woo-sok, the ruthless underworld king whose empire controlled half of Seoul's shadows, was watching from the doorway, powerful yet paralyzed, desperate yet helpless. When Palesa knelt and gently offered comfort using techniques from her music therapy practice, the ballroom's whispers stopped. She didn't know the girl hadn't spoken to a stranger in 2 years. She didn't know she was breaking an unspoken rule in Woo-sok's world. No one touches what belongs to the Kang family. But when the girl's trembling hand reached for Palesa's, something inside the mafia boss shifted and locked entirely onto this black woman from Chicago who dared to see his daughter as human, not damaged. Welcome to Love and Tension. If you're already hooked, stay with us, because this story is about to get dangerously complicated, especially when Palesa discovers the girl is her best friend's younger sister, and Woo-sok has decided she's not leaving his world alive or alone. 3 weeks before that night, Palesa had been standing in her cramped Chicago apartment, staring at an eviction notice she couldn't pay and a phone that wouldn't stop ringing with collection agencies. Her music therapy practice had collapsed after insurance cuts, leaving her drowning in debt with nowhere to turn, until an email from her college friend Nari arrived, offering an escape to Seoul and a fresh start she desperately needed. The eviction notice sat on Palesa's kitchen counter like a death sentence. 72 hours. That's all she had left before the sheriff came to remove her belongings from the only home she'd known in Chicago for 6 years. She stood at the window of her studio apartment, watching snow fall over the south side, and felt the weight of every failure pressing down on her shoulders. 31 years old, master's degree in music therapy, a decade of experience working with trauma survivors, and she couldn't even keep a roof over her own head. Her phone buzzed. Another collection call. She silenced it without looking. The music therapy clinic where she'd worked had shut down 3 months ago. Budget cuts, they'd said. Insurance companies stopped covering alternative treatments. 18 clients, children, veterans, abuse survivors who'd finally started to trust her, cut off mid-treatment because some actuarial table said their healing wasn't cost-effective. Palesa had tried to keep seeing them pro bono, burned through her savings in 6 weeks. Then the unpaid student loans came due, then rent, then everything else crashed down at once. She pulled her laptop open, scrolling through job listings she'd already memorized. Nothing. Chicago's music therapy market had dried up completely. The few positions available wanted someone younger, cheaper, with less baggage. Her email pinged. From Nari Park. Subject: I know this is random, but please read. Palesa almost deleted it. Nari had been her roommate freshman year at Northwestern, but they drifted after graduation. Nari had moved back to Seoul, gotten married, started a foundation. They exchanged birthday messages and occasional likes on social media, nothing more. But something made her click. Palesa, I know we haven't talked in forever and this is going to sound insane, but I need your help. My foundation just got funding for a new program working with neurodivergent teens in Seoul. I need a lead therapist who actually gives a damn, not just someone collecting a check. I thought of you immediately. The pay is decent, $180 million annually, about $60K USD, plus housing stipend and relocation covered. I know it's a huge ask to leave Chicago, but I've seen your LinkedIn. I know the clinic closed. If you're even slightly interested, please call me. I can get you an interview this week. I miss you, P, and I think Seoul might be exactly what you need right now. Nari. Palesa read it 3 times. Seoul, South Korea. 8,000 miles from Chicago, from the eviction notice, from the wreckage of her life. She typed out a response, deleted it, typed again, deleted again. It felt like running away. But maybe running away was exactly what she needed. She hit send before she could overthink it. The video interview happened 2 days later. 3 serious-faced administrators from the Lotus Foundation stared at her through the screen. Nari sat off to the side, encouraging but quiet. They asked about her approach to therapy, her experience with nonverbal clients, Why music specifically? Palesa could have given them the academic answer: neuroplasticity, trauma processing, alternative communication pathways. Instead, she told them the truth. I had a client once, 7-year-old boy named Terrell. Watched his mother get killed in a drive-by. Didn't speak for 9 months. Every therapist in Chicago tried talk therapy, play therapy, art therapy. Nothing. She leaned closer to the camera. I brought in a djembe drum. Didn't ask him to talk, didn't ask him anything. Just played a heartbeat rhythm. Steady, predictable, safe. The administrators were listening now. For 3 weeks, he just sat there. Then one day, his fingers started tapping, matching the beat. That was his first communication, not with words, but with rhythm. 6 months later, he was speaking again. Not because I fixed him, because I gave him a language that didn't require him to relive his trauma every time he tried to connect. Silence on the other end. Then the director spoke. When can you start? How soon do you need me? Yesterday. Palesa laughed despite herself. I can be there in 2 weeks. The 14-hour flight to Seoul gave her too much time to think. Everything she owned fit into 2 suitcases. She'd sold or donated the rest. Furniture, books, the djembe that had saved Terrell. Starting over meant leaving everything behind. She pressed her forehead against the window as the plane descended. Seoul sprawled below her, a vast glittering maze of glass towers and ancient temples, highways cutting through mountains, the Han River snaking through it all like a silver vein. What am I doing? She didn't speak Korean beyond basic phrases, didn't know the culture, didn't have any friends here except Nari, who she hadn't seen in person in 8 years. The plane touched down. No turning back now. Nari was waiting at arrivals, exactly as Palesa remembered her. Petite, sharply dressed, with a kind of efficient warmth that made you feel both welcomed and slightly intimidated. You actually came. Nari pulled her into a hug. I actually came. How was the flight? Long. Gave me too much time to question all my life choices. Nari grabbed one of her suitcases. Good. That means you're thinking clearly. They navigated through Incheon Airport's gleaming corridors. Everything was modern, efficient, overwhelming. Digital signs in Korean and English. Crowds moving with purpose. Palesa felt like she'd stepped into a future version of the world. The taxi ride into Seoul was sensory overload. Neon signs in Hangul script. Street food vendors sending up clouds of steam, old women selling vegetables next to luxury boutiques, ancient palaces shadowed by steel and glass skyscrapers. It's a lot, Nari said, watching her take it all in. It's beautiful and terrifying. That's Seoul in a nutshell. They pulled up to a modest apartment building in Mapo-gu. Not fancy, but clean and modern. Nari helped her carry the suitcases up to the 6th floor. The apartment was small, 1 bedroom, tiny kitchen, bathroom barely big enough to turn around in, but the window looked out over a neighborhood park where old men were playing baduk under cherry trees. It's perfect, Palesa said, and meant it. Nari set down the suitcases. The foundation covers rent. You start Monday. I'll introduce you to Director Yoon. She's tough, but fair. Don't try to bullshit her. I don't do bullshit. I know, that's why I hired you. Nari moved toward the door, then paused. There's a fundraiser Friday night. Big gala, lots of donors. You should come, network, show your face. I'm not really a gala person. I know, come anyway. Wear something nice. And Palesa, Nari's expression shifted, something careful entering her eyes. Don't engage with anyone who looks dangerous. Dangerous how? You'll know them when you see them. Old money families, political connections, the kind of people who smile while deciding your future. Just stay professional and polite. Don't ask too many questions. Before Palesa could respond, Nari was gone. She stood alone in the apartment, jet-lagged and disoriented, wondering exactly what she'd gotten herself into. The Lotus Foundation occupied 3 floors of a building in Gangnam. Modern, well-funded, professionally run. Director Yoon met her Monday morning, a woman in her 50s with steel gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Nari speaks highly of you, Yoon said in perfect English. I hope to live up to it. I don't believe in miracles, Miss Rogers. I believe in patience and consistency. Can you provide both? Yes. Yoon handed her a tablet. 16 clients, ages 13 to 19. Autism spectrum, sensory processing disorders, selective mutism, developmental trauma. Some from wealthy families who can afford private care, others on scholarship. You'll treat them all the same. Palessa scrolled through the files. Each case was complex, layered, challenging. We have a team meeting Wednesday. The gala is Friday. You'll attend. Nari mentioned it. Yoon's expression flickered. Good. Some of our most important donors will be there, including the Kang family. The way she said it made Palessa look up. Should I know that name? Google them. Then make your own decisions. That night, Palessa Googled Kang family Seoul. The results made her blood run cold. Kang Woo-sok, the shadow emperor of Seoul's underworld. Article after article. Photos of a silver-haired man in expensive suits. Korean and English newspapers, some reputable, some tabloid, all saying the same thing. The Kang family controlled organized crime in Seoul, gambling, protection, underground banking. Woo-sok had inherited the empire from his father 30 years ago and expanded it ruthlessly. Politicians in his pocket, police who looked the other way, enemies who simply disappeared. But the recent articles focused on something else. His daughter, Kang Sun-hee, the silent heiress, 16 years old, hadn't spoken in public in 2 years, homeschooled, rarely photographed. Tabloids speculated about mental illness, trauma, shame. Some articles were cruel, calling her damaged goods, suggesting she'd never be fit to inherit the family empire. Palessa felt sick reading them. She clicked on a photo of Woo-sok and his daughter at some charity event. The girl looked terrified, hands clutching her father's arm. Woo-sok's face was carved granite, revealing nothing but protecting everything. She closed the laptop. Stay away from the Kangs. Good advice. She intended to follow it. Friday arrived too quickly. Palessa stood in front of her mirror, barely recognizing herself in the borrowed black dress Nari had sent over. Simple, elegant, expensive. Her natural hair was pulled back in a low bun. Small gold earrings, minimal makeup. She looked like she belonged at a Seoul high society fundraiser. She felt like a fraud. The gala was at the Shilla Hotel, one of Seoul's most prestigious venues. Palessa arrived with Nari and immediately felt out of her depth. Crystal chandeliers, string quartet playing Vivaldi, people in designer clothes worth more than her annual salary. Breathe, Nari whispered. You belong here. I really don't. You do. These people fund programs. You run them. Different roles, equal importance. But Palessa could feel the stares, the only black woman in a room of Korean elite. Curious glances, some welcoming, some less so. She found a quiet corner near the terrace doors and tried to make herself invisible. That's when she noticed the girl. Outside in the garden, partially hidden behind a sculptured hedge, a teenage girl stood with her hands pressed over her ears. Her shoulders were rigid, her eyes squeezed shut. The classical music from inside was clearly overwhelming her. Palessa recognized the signs immediately. Sensory overload, probably autism spectrum, definitely in distress. She glanced around. People walked past the garden doors without even looking. The girl might as well have been invisible. Then Palessa saw him. A man stood in the doorway between the ballroom and garden. Late 50s, silver hair immaculately styled, suit that probably cost more than her car back in Chicago. He was watching the girl with an expression that made Palessa's chest ache. Helplessness, grief, love so desperate it was almost painful to witness. This was Kang Woo-sok, and that was his daughter, Sun-hee. Stay away from them. Nari's warning echoed, but Palessa was already moving. She stepped into the garden. The music was quieter out here, muffled by the building. Sun-hee didn't look up as Palessa approached. Palessa knelt on the grass a few feet away, making herself smaller, less threatening. The music is very loud, isn't it? She said softly in English, then repeated it in broken Korean. Sun-hee's eyes flickered open, wary, calculating. I don't like loud music either. Sometimes it feels like bees living inside my head, buzzing and buzzing until I can't think. A pause, then the smallest nod. I'm Palessa. I work with teenagers who feel things very deeply. Music, sounds, everything. Another pause. Would you like to stay out here where it's quieter? or we could walk further into the garden, or, Palessa gestured toward a bench under a cherry tree, we could sit and not talk at all. Whatever feels right for you. 30 seconds passed. A minute. 2. Then Sun-hee's hand slowly lowered from her ear, reached out, stopped inches from Palessa's palm. Palessa didn't move, didn't breathe, just waited. The girl's fingers touched hers, cool, trembling. Okay, I've got you. She helped Sun-hee to the bench, sat beside her, didn't speak, just existed in the quiet, letting the girl's nervous system calm. She could feel eyes on them, turned slightly and saw Kang Woo-sok still in the doorway, watching with an intensity that should have frightened her. Instead, all she saw was a father watching a miracle. Sun-hee stayed with Palessa for 20 minutes, gradually relaxed, eventually started picking at the flowers near the bench, arranging them in patterns, still not speaking, but present. Calm. When a woman in a designer hanbok approached, clearly a caretaker, Sun-hee stiffened. "It's okay," Palessa said gently. "I think your family is looking for you, but you did really well tonight. Really, really well." Sun-hee looked at her. Then, barely audible, "Thank you." 2 words. Hoarse from disuse, but unmistakably intentional. Palissa's eyes burned with tears. "You're so welcome." The caretaker led Sun-hee away, throwing grateful glances back at Palissa. Palissa stood, brushing grass off her dress, ready to return to the gala and disappear back into her corner. A hand touched her elbow, firm, commanding. She turned and found herself face to face with Kang Woo-sok. Up close, he was even more imposing, tall for a Korean man his age, sharp jawline, a thin scar cutting through his left eyebrow, eyes like black granite, hard, unreadable, dangerous. "Who are you?" His English was accented but perfect. "Palissa Rogers. I work for the Lotus Foundation. Music therapy. I know, I had your background checked the moment you touched my daughter." The casual admission of surveillance should have terrified her. Instead, Palissa felt anger flash through her. "I was helping a child in distress. My daughter doesn't let strangers touch her, hasn't in 2 years. Experts from 3 countries have tried. Everyone fails." Maybe they weren't offering what she needed. Something flickered in his eyes. And what does she need? To be seen as a person, not a problem. The air between them felt charged, dangerous. "Have dinner with me tomorrow," he said. Not a question, a command. "That sounds like an order." The corner of his mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. An invitation, but one I hope you'll accept. "Why?" "Because my daughter spoke to you." 2 words. The first she's said to anyone outside family in 24 months. That makes you either very lucky or very valuable. I'd like to determine which. Palissa should have said no, should have walked away from this dangerous man and his broken family. Instead, Palissa heard herself say, "What time?" 7. "A car will pick you up." He walked away before she could change her mind. Palissa returned to the gala in a daze, found Nari near the bar. "What did I just tell you about dangerous people?" Nari hissed. "I helped a girl who was having a sensory meltdown. That was Kang Sun-hee, and now her father wants something from you. Just dinner? There's no such thing as just dinner with Kang Woo-sok. Palissa, I love you, but you need to understand, these people aren't like us. They operate by different rules. Whatever he wants, it's not simple. He wants to talk about his daughter. That's what he told you. What he actually wants might be very different." Palissa met her friend's eyes. "I know this is risky, but that girl, Nari, she's brilliant, she's suffering, and everyone's given up on her because she doesn't communicate the way they expect. I can help her. At what cost? I don't know yet, but I have to try." Nari sighed. "You were always too good for your own good. Just be careful, and if anything feels wrong, call me immediately. I have some connections that might help." "What kind of connections?" "The kind you hope you never need." The black Mercedes arrived precisely at 7. Silent driver. tinted windows. Palisade climbed in, feeling like she was crossing a threshold she couldn't uncross. They drove through Seoul's nightscape, away from the glittering downtown, through residential neighborhoods that grew progressively more exclusive. Finally, they pulled up to a traditional Hanok-style estate hidden behind high walls and security gates that would make a military base jealous. Kang Woo-sok waited in the courtyard. Different from last night. No suit, just black slacks and a white linen shirt. Somehow more dangerous this way. More human. You came. I almost didn't. I know. I had contingency plans. Despite everything, Palisade felt a smile tug at her mouth. What kind of contingency plans? The kind that would have made dinner significantly less pleasant for both of us. He led her through the estate. Traditional Korean architecture blended seamlessly with modern security, beautiful and fortified, like the man himself. They entered a private dining room, not ostentatious, but every detail screamed wealth, antique furniture, artwork that probably belonged in museums, a view of a garden that looked designed for meditation. No staff? Palisade asked, noticing they were alone. I don't dine with strangers present. In my world, witnesses are liabilities.